Everybody, how's it going? Michael D. Tidwell here, and welcome to another episode of Powered by Music, where we talk about everything music. We are joined by a very special guest today. She is a singer, songwriter, and award-winning vocal artist, and she goes by the name Alexa Ray. Alexa, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, yeah, just to give a brief background on how me and Alexa Ray met, through the grapevine of social media, from her connections, my connections. I just so happened to catch her profile and check out a lot of her stuff that she had submitted on Spotify and other platforms, in which I absolutely fell in love with your style, Alexa. Your production library material, as well as your solo projects, are super, super awesome. So definitely wanted to let you know that.
Oh, thank you. That means so much.
Yeah, absolutely. How's the day going for you so far, Alexa? Everything's going good?
Yeah, great. It's
Yeah.
yeah, a little bit rainy here in Toronto, but yeah, hopefully the sun will come out and shine soon.
Yeah, 100%. How's the lifestyle over in Toronto? Have you been there for a long time?
Yep, my whole life.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you
It's
like it out there?
yeah, I mean, I live like right in the city. Well, I shouldn't say right in the city. I live on like the suburb in Scarborough, and so it's like
Mm,
maybe 20 minutes into the city. So yeah, it's great. Lots of good eats, lots of great things to see and do. So yeah, I
nice.
feel blessed to live in a pretty major city.
That's cool. Yeah, I've heard so many good things about Toronto, especially like Alberta as well. I hear Alberta is like really, really pretty. So yeah, that's awesome. Definitely plan to visit there one day. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I haven't been out that way, but yeah,
Nice.
I really think Vancouver's beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah, that side.
Gotcha, gotcha. I love it. I love it. Well, yeah, just jumping in here, Alexa, I want to talk about how everything started for you. You've been doing this for a little bit. I really want to learn more about your background. How long have you been singing and songwriting for?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I've been singing for my entire life.
Mm,
It started at church, actually. I might have been maybe around like 6 or 7, and they had like a summer program that my mom actually had run. And at the end of the program, I think they had like a little choir section.
mm,
And so, being the daughter of the person who was running it, I was, of course, stuck being in it. And she didn't have anybody else to sing this little solo snippet, so she got me to do it. And so I did it, and a couple people in the audience who had a music background came up and approached my mom after and said, she can actually sing. You should probably put her in lessons.
mm.
So I thought it was, a lot of fun. So I started in a choir, the Bach Children's Chorus here in Toronto, and they have they tour across Canada. So that's kind of how I got into music in the first place, and then started getting more serious probably in high school. I studied at the Royal Conservatory of Music here in
Mm.
Toronto. And then from there, graduated and did the Young Artist Performance Academy, which was like a bridge between my university and high school year. And
Wow.
then I was a little bit nervous about actually diving into music. So I actually started a major in environmental studies in university. And then I think it was like my first or second year, absolutely hated it. I was good at it, but I realized that I didn't have a passion for, that area.
Mm.
So it really showed me that, you can be good at a lot of things, but if you don't have that passion, then you're not going to, I guess, succeed.
Right.
So I switched into vocal performance. So I went to York University here in Toronto for vocal performance and studied opera.
Wow.
So I have so my whole background is actually in opera training. I thought I was Met bound. Um, listened to all the greats, Kiri Takanawa, Cecilia Bartoli, Kathleen Battle. So was really
Mm.
well versed in classical and opera. And then I graduated university. I did a couple operas over in Europe, actually, in the Netherlands. And then just realized that again, like I loved music, but I just felt like I didn't there was something that wasn't quite clicking for me in the opera world.
Mm,
You know, I could do it, I could sing it, I could memorize all the lines, but when it came to the performance, I just felt like there was this disconnect between, who I am
right.
and the audience. And I just yeah, so I kind of ventured to explore that a little bit more. And that's kind of when I came across Epic Music and the Epic Music channel. And yeah, just really loved more of that cinematic style. I don't know how else to explain it, but it was kind of like listening to classical music, but in 3D. All
Mm.
of a sudden, you had these like deep, electronic sounds. So you're pulling kind of like the classical elements, but into the future. And I just absolutely loved it and needed to know more about it. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That's
that's kind of how it all came to be.
that's really interesting that you came from. I would not have expected that to come from an opera background, but then it kind of ties into your style in some way. Like I definitely feel that, especially with um the intention of your voice and the direction with where you want to place it. It's very spot on, and it's got a really nice tone to it. And wow, that's really interesting to kind of piece that all together. That's really cool. May I ask on that note, where did the start come for you to exhibit your voice on music production libraries? Because that's a very big thing that you do as far as your vocal stuff.
Yeah, I feel really blessed that it kind of, started in one project and then another composer heard me, and it's similar to, how you found me.
Mhm.
It was kind of organic, people just listening, and then they wanted me to be a part of their tracks. And then Adam Music Audio, which I do a lot of production music for, approached me and said, "Hey, do you want to do an album?" And kind of paired me up with a couple different composers,
Mm.
and that's kind of how things just took off. But a lot of it is truly organic, just people listening and loving what I do, which is incredible.
Yes.
I really do feel honored and really want to stress that not everybody I know is lucky enough to be doing what they do.
Mm.
So yeah, it's really awesome. I get to work with so many different amazing composers, and yeah, that's kind of it's just kind of happened for me.
I love it. I love it. Is this what you do full time, if you don't mind me asking?
Yes.
Wow, that's
Yeah, but
awesome.
only the last couple of years. There's definitely been like a lot of ups and downs, and I'm sure a lot of listeners can relate to the hardworking grind of being an artist,
Yeah.
and it is really difficult to be have it sustainable. So for many years, I was working actually as a floral designer.
Mm.
So doing like weddings and things like that, and then also printing, fine art printing for artists who do graphic work and photography and things like that. So I was actually a color specialist and printer for a couple of years, just to make ends meet.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it, love it. With that said, Alexa, I really want to dive back into um your start with the music. Can you tell me the first song that you ever wrote?
Oh man, it's funny because what's interesting is, again, like when because I started in opera, and in opera you're always given sheet music. It's
Mhm.
never you're never exploring yourself in that way,
Mhm.
so to speak. So it's just interesting now that I look back on my past. I was always kind of doing like jingles at the piano, and I would like throughout my day, like when I was like angry about something, I'd always like be coming up with like these songs, but I was just like, oh, that's not, I can't actually write music. Like I'm an opera singer. Like opera singers don't write music.
Mhm.
So it's funny that I kind of suppressed that side of myself because I didn't think it was ever like good enough, or that it was something that I could utilize.
Mhm.
And then it just so happened that one of the collaborations that I was working on with Andrew Heim about maybe 6 years ago now,
Mhm.
I had been doing some atmospheric vocals because that's where I started, just kind of like oohs and ahs and, kind of more background, not so much lyric. And he said, I really love what you're doing, but I wonder if this wouldn't be more powerful if you did lyrics. And so at that point in time, my whole I guess, mantra was just say yes. Um, to try to explore myself better, in this genre. And I was really learning more about my voice outside of opera, exploring pop, exploring like these deep growls and like tribal sounds and things like that. So I was just kind of pushing myself as far as I could go and seeing what stuck and, what wouldn't work. So my whole mantra was just say yes. So I was like, okay, sure, I'll try, I'll give it a go. Deep down, I was kind of like, I have no idea how this is going to go. I don't even know if I could write lyrics. Um, but yeah, so the first track that I actually wrote was called Two Hearts. And I
Mm.
got really great feedback. I think it was actually featured on the Epic Music channel and got a few 100,000 views, which I thought was absolutely incredible. And people were
Yeah.
saying like how much they related to the lyrics and how powerful they were. So I was kind of like, okay, maybe this is something that I should explore more.
Mm.
So I did.
Wow, that's awesome. So I really want to dive back into that atmospheric thing that you touched on. So we recently worked on a single called Landed, and
Yes.
it's going to be coming out on the 26th of May, which I'm really excited about. I know that you are too. It's awesome. Tell me how that experience was.
Yeah, this track, it was actually a little bit challenging for me. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
But yeah, listening to it, it was completely different than anything I'd ever done before, just because it didn't have any tempo, it didn't have a time signature. So, listening to it, it really made me think outside the box. And I guess that's where some of my opera background came into play, because
Mm,
a lot of my training is thinking about stories and how you're going to make it different from any other singer, because every singer can sing. They
yeah.
can do what you do. So the only thing that I feel like I have different than and unique than anybody else as a singer is my toolbox, the colors that I use, and how I tell the story. So I really tried to deep dive into, what it would feel like exploring, a planet, and for the first time you've just come off a ship for, god knows how many years it took
Mm,
you to get there. There's the unknown, there's something a little bit scary possibly, if something's going to jump out at you, or so I really tried to take all of those emotions and all of those colors and create a non-lyrical story with them.
mm. And you did an absolute wonderful job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I've showed a couple of people behind the scenes very privately, had nothing but amazing, amazing things to say. So I definitely want you to
Well,
know
thanks
that.
so much.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah. Yeah, the way that you melodically told that story with your vocals was so pretty, and it was honestly, I got some really cool vibes from it, some mermaid-esque type of vibes as well, which was really interesting. And it's a very special project. And I'm so glad that you were chosen for that specific song. You did an absolute killer job on it. And I'm so excited for the release next Friday. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, me too. And
Yeah.
thank you for thinking of me, to
Yeah.
tell the story. It was really an honor.
100%, 100%. Speaking of singles, you just recently put out a single called Run Red.
Yes.
Can you tell me about that? Like where did that come about?
Yeah, I actually had a blast performing and writing that one. I was I was kind of angry one day, and yeah, when I got the track from Michael Tardy, um, sorry, to backtrack a little bit, I feel like when I get given a track, a lot of my job as a top liner and a lyricist is to listen to the track and almost be a translator for the emotion that's there. And then
Mm,
from that, I put, all of those emotions and that story into words.
mm,
So he had such a huge electronic, and orchestra, behind it, that I really needed to match that intensity and that orchestration, and come up with something really big. So that's what kind of, made me think of, if, like almost like you're gaming and you're getting back at that person who just shot you down.
yes.
You're waiting that 30 seconds to come back to life, and So and given hell. So that's kind of, the feeling that I wanted to embody into that song, is revenge and vengeance. So
Mm,
yeah, I had a lot of fun creating those lyrics, and also with my voice. I was kind of exploring different like growls and making like very, very raw, different than our track, which is a lot more beautiful and placed.
mm.
This one, I really wanted to embody, just a raw anger.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I was really exploring that side of my voice, which yeah, again, I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great track. A lot of good dynamics, a lot of great range, a very, very big tension, which I really, really enjoyed as well. And it was just very big sounding. It's a very large arena sounding track.
Mhm.
So I very much enjoyed it. You did an excellent job on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Tihomir, is that how you pronounce his name?
Um,
I think it's Tihomir. David Michael Tardy and T. Hamir, I think were the partners
yes,
on.
yes, that's correct.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a very, very big
They're
fan of
absolutely-
his.
Yeah, no, both absolutely incredible, and yeah, I feel really lucky, that they selected me for that track.
Mm,
Yeah, just awesome composers, and their music is so expressive.
mm.
So I think I really reacted well to their emotions, and was, able to match that.
Yeah, yes. Speaking of that, I really want to tie that into the next question. What do you fare better? Do you like doing solo projects more, or would you say that you like doing collaborations a bit more?
Oh man. I feel like they're both really exciting for different reasons.
Mm,
In solo projects, I feel like I get to start from scratch with what I want to say and what I'm feeling, and what I'm going through, in terms of um, inspiration.
mhm,
Um, I always try to, because I want people to really react. A lot of the music that I try to put out, I really want it to mean and say something, and I want people to be able to relate to it, or else it's just noise.
mm.
So for my solo projects, I really try to dive deep, and it's mostly, my true voice and what I'm going through at the time. And with collaborations, again, I feel like I'm more of like a translator or an interpreter of what somebody else has created.
Mm.
So it's fun because I feel like as a top liner, it's almost like I'm working on a puzzle, and working with words and wordplay. So it's a different side of the creativity than my solo work, but
Mm.
equally as fun.
That's cool how you put that with, piecing a puzzle, and also just being a translator through the emotion that the composer is wanting to transcribe to its audience. And that's
Mhm.
that's such a really cool take. I've never really heard it expressed like that. So it's really cool that you have that perspective there.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that, as a composer, your whole job is to create emotions without words. So if I come on and I'm saying something completely different that isn't in line with what you have written in the backing track, I feel like, um, energy wise, it's going to clash.
Mm,
And again, maybe that's, my opera background in terms of, what you hear at like major, minor, or, all that
right.
theory stuff. Um, but I try to come at it from a very organic place.
Mm.
So I always want it to feel in line with, what's being written in the background.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And that's a good way of putting that. Um, yeah, I guess on that note, Alexa, with the next question here, if you had a choice to collaborate with anybody in the industry, who would you want to collaborate with?
Oh man, there's so many amazing, amazing artists out there. Two-way for sure.
Mm,
They've been doing some really epic stuff, and I feel like it would be incredible to work with them. Bo Williams is another amazing rapper. Um, he does a lot for like um, athletic, like NHL and video games and stuff like that. So I feel like he would be incredible to work with.
Mhm.
And then probably Two Steps from Hell is another big one.
Yeah, there we
Um,
go. There we
you
go.
know, like who doesn't want to work with them?
Yeah.
Yeah, just like huge, powerful, orchestration. And I feel like we would really bring something cool to the table. But wishful
100%.
thinking, maybe future. I'll speak
Hey,
it out into the world.
hey, you never know. You never know. I'm telling you. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, on that note, Alexa, what projects are you working on right now? Can you speak on anything, or is there anything that you would like to talk about?
Um, I don't know which ones I can speak about. I do have a lot uh, that I'm working on.
Mm,
I feel like I have like a whole album worth of tracks that are kind of like lined up to go.
mm,
Um, but yeah, I'm working with a couple different producers, and I know that a lot of people really enjoyed "Weight of the World" that I did with Ruben K. So
mm.
there are more tracks with me and him that are
Nice.
set to release soon, so that I can say. Um, and then yeah, a lot that I'm sure people would not expect of me. So there's a few hardstyle tracks set to release as well. Yeah, a few different genres. So yeah, I can't wait to speak more about it soon. So you'll have to keep your eyes posted.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, Alexa, where can people follow you on social media platforms and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I feel like I'm actually so bad at social media. It's something that I should be more focused on. But the main platform that I'm on all the time is Instagram,
Mm,
Instagram and Facebook. So my Instagram is Alexa Ray Music. And of course, my website, www.alexarayofficial.com, are my two main platforms that I'm on.
I love it. I
Working
love
on
it.
TikTok, not there yet.
There you go. There you go. Well, Alexa, it was such an absolute pleasure to have you on the Powered by Music podcast. You were such an incredible guest, and thank you for going into a lot of detail
Thank you for
with
having
those
me.
questions. 100%. But yeah, guys, that just about wraps it up for another episode of the Powered by Music podcast, where we talk about everything music. Please follow me on all social media platforms at Michael D. Tidwell to learn more about any upcoming episodes. If you're a singer, songwriter, vocal artist, engineer, producer, beat maker, whatever, please hit me up. I would love to interview you and bring you aboard the show. And thank you so much, guys. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day and stay tuned for the next episode. I love y'all. Take it easy.